Alright everybody, now I just want to do a refresh. It'd be a good time at the moment just before I leave, and it'll go with the clips I got to help understand without going, I might get lost track of a lot of hard work in my sin to go back and get the answer. I might just assume this. So I better do another video to go with another clip to sort of refresh your mind, as some people do go back in movies to refresh where they're up to. Right? Now I want to talk about sins. Now I've talked about humans haven't got their priorities right, everything's twisted. Right? So they can, what that means is that you've got humans that can fly jets, build rockets, do all these things, right? But they haven't got the basics. So this dude can't fly a jet in the end because he hasn't got factories to make it, right? And this dude can't do what he does because they're starving, right? And this dude can't be a teacher or teach because they're also got no place to go, as they don't know how to build buildings to easily withstand the environment. Now, when they build a nice big skyscraper, they go, we build this twice to 3 times its standard. Means how heavy the concrete can take. You can take 300,000 pounds. We'll only make it take about 15 or less than that, as you like to know it's strong. But a lot of cases you see that actually get above that. Right? But that's how they do things. So you make something fucking proper. You get it? The rich will do it in certain sectors for themselves, I guess. Right? As you haven't got your fucking priorities straight. Now, let me calm down. But you know the parent where you're sick of talking to the kid constantly? What voice do you get? Right? It's actually human instinct. And in fact, if it keeps happening, that kid, you'll find that the parent might get a different voice, louder and different every time of frustration. Is that true, Emma?
Yes.
And that's what I just gave you right there. Then I'm like a parent can do sometimes. You go, now you're gonna, let's try again for the 400th time in the last 8 years. I know humans are slow. Right? Hopefully I'll get there before you believe that you're right and leave and have the right with others with their sins that believe that you have the right to go do something, and yet I'm your parent. You see? Right? Because of other sinners. Right? The biggest sin on the Bible sin book, I'll happy to debate it, but no one will debate because of their sins. No one has faced me in any of my clips of my debate, have they, Emma? And I've been doing it for years. In fact, people will just go, as they're in their fucking sin. Did you know that? Sorry about the swearing. You actually hear people like Bella who taps in a sin. If you illegally tap in, that's a sin. You're reading other people's energy and knowing something that they don't know. You're stealing. That's a sin. Right? And if you spread that to others, you're stealing, then allowing what you stole to be used with others as well. And you can be in a bigger sin by deceiving them, saying that they can, but then they become a smaller sin, not knowing that when they're not knowing the sin's small, but once they get to know, it'll become big, but then they're stuck in it, which is blackmail, and they stay with that sin. That's what you humans' history constantly does, right? You're not looking at the Bible properly. The sins is what he's trying to tell you, right? Of control and domination. What keeps happening because of these sins that you guys have out there. And you elect your leader collectively as you have these sins that will be that sinner. It's part of the sins. And then you cry about it. Like they're doing right now. Isn't Australia whinging that they shouldn't have elected Albanese? Yeah. And the previous one, but they did elect them.
Yep.
That's right. They said he had the right job. And so with the previous one, and your debt's getting bigger because you elect the right people, as collectively you are not in your sins. Not. You see how you get answers? No, collectively you are. God is trying to teach you something. But if you get another leader, which you can go back in Australia, let's talk about Australia's history, a lot of countries have this. You will see your collective, which is what Jesus told you, you're not knowing what you're doing, as you all do it. You collect, here comes an army that didn't hear my speech and he's killing me. That's part of the sin, right? As you're all in it still. No one's got a big enough army to spread the real truth. They killed it. That's the Jesus story. And there's many of those Jesus' stories of good people getting killed because of the collective sin. Right? And we've been dying for a country to step up and hopefully do it right and not just be another bully, because that's all history has shown in the end. And the ones that did step up, they stayed in their own bubble till they died, and then another leader come in, and they usually when I work hard so my kids have an easy life. Don't we hear that a lot? Ever. You know what? That can be a sin. Because of that, I'll tell you now, this kid, when that guy dies, he's not the same. He's not who created that piece. He's not better, he's actually worse. And then he loses power, and these other people know it. And they come in, and that's your history. And that bubble gets killed. We've had all these great bubbles of Babylon and all these, but they couldn't defend themselves to the mass of the ants that had this theory, right, of money. Usually it's money. Back then they had chocolate beans, fucking instant, right, all these shit that people traded as money in trade. And main priority of what they wanted. Then we went to silver and gold and diamonds and so on. In fact, when glass first came out, it was more popular than gold. And so there's all these fake jewelry out there because of that glass factor, coloured glass and shit, right? But it's still pretty, and no one knew unless they had another, say, knowledge that could put them in their sins of greed and use that knowledge and not just say, look, it was classed as a diamond. In that time, it was expensive as a diamond. It's like an artwork. But we'll say it's not now because we've got this other information, and now we're going to put it in that bracket. Right? They do that all the time. You know why platinum is so expensive? There's actually more platinum once we make it out there to get than gold or diamonds and certain things. As platinum is fucking everywhere in rock. But you need a room full of rock, pretty much, to make a platinum ring. So it's a lot of work, but it's there. And when it takes all that work, that brings up the price until the work is not so much. And then it will go down in price like the glass did. The glass was rare at one stage because only so many people could make it, and you needed to do certain things. And that was effort, which made that glass special until it wasn't anymore, right? It's up to us, but we live in our sins still today. In our worst sins that, in fact, we probably still the same, if not worse. We get given toys for a test. We talk about tests ourselves in the image of God, remember? We talk about tests. God does it to us too. Does it better than you. You're still getting there, you see? So he knows better. It's like when a parent tells the kid, you know, I've been around a while. You know who you're talking to? Definitely the one who just finished college at 20. You get it? Even though you've done college too. But if you don't use it, you lose it. So while they're refreshed and updated, they will work better than you, like a new computer. Right? And then you'll find these computers, you can take everything off them and they still slow down in the future. Right? You can't keep up with things out there with the other computers. It's a similar thing. These people haven't got their priorities right. These governments say that they elect people with the cross and all these things, but they're scripts of what they are. They don't actually follow it. They follow money, and now they can create and will follow that of what they can do. Right? That's what your history has shown. But none of them has really proved. And if they have, you've got a system where you collectively have a sin where you get rid of them. Like I said, when you get a good person, you want to hang on to them in a society as long as you can. And when they die, you elect another one. How you elect. That's still your society electing the right people. Sometimes there's only one. If he's doing a good job, milk's good, leave it alone. You know that saying? Right? But you don't. We get this factor like we see in the welfare system where they get it right, but then they can't help but keep changing because they believe change is better. Yeah, you know that saying? They overdo sayings in one area, thinking one way is better than the other. But it's actually always mixed in is the best. Like how they talked about with Alien, I was watching last night, Alien Predator, sorry. That they go out and collect DNAs, right, to make themselves better. Similar thing with education of what you pick. Also upgrades you, right? Not just the brain and how they can think quicker. In that show, he wants a little boy because he thinks quicker than other humans. He doesn't take that 10 years, right? You can get there. That can actually be passed on genetically. As we've talked about scientists today, that you got a caveman back in the day and brought them back to life with the same skull, same way of evolution, right? Because it changes. You couldn't teach them like you can teach a baby today. You would say that that one's not the same as that baby. That baby will learn quicker than that caveman baby, right? That's just the way it is. So when it comes to these priorities, first you got to get your main ones right. Means your household and in order. Means you can feed your people. You can do the basics. Once you've done that, God talks about you helping others. So that means you can help others and use a little bit of control, but by doing it the right way of education means they will want your help. So if you make a law or you do something and they don't want it, that means they're not ready to quit. They're the smoker going, I haven't even called the quit line yet. What are you doing? You're forcing it on me. Right? I can go on all day. Now let's get back, as I've learnt, and I keep it in and I work it all out, don't I, Emma? I can really rave on. Give me another subject. Right? Helps me out. So when it comes to the basics, first they've got to work out their basics. And when God helps these people with donations and they get it and they go, look, we can live off. Well, that's good. But if the donations stop, God might be going, look, you've been donated a lot. Just like a parent giving a kid money. And then you go, you hope with that money that they'll start to make their own fucking money. Isn't that right, Emma? Yeah. That's the church, which is the clips I'm talking about. God has said, now the last 50 years easy, right? And I've done this several times. I give them everything. But then they always seem to just want more and not do any work about being wise with their money. They keep asking for their parent. Oh, could you pay my bills again? I'm sorry, I was giving out to my friend. I was helping my... Yeah, that's cool. You can help your friend. But you need to financially finance what you do. And don't help others and then expect me to help you. Isn't that what churches are doing with God? They help others and then they pray to God that God feeds them doing nothing? Yeah. See? You're in your sin right there. Right? When the church first starts off, something new should be donated, should be supported, just like a business and all that kind of stuff. But eventually it doesn't if it fails its job of what it says it can do. If it's a healer for others, well, it should be able to prove that it can heal itself when it gets donations. True, Emma? Yeah. Yeah. That's where they can use the business factor a little bit in part of what they do to help other parts, right? And you do things honestly and you can still make money. Have you ever heard that, Emma? You can do things honestly, which is a fair rate, right, to make money. Or you can just make a price. Right? That's what we hear a lot these days. Oh, I made this price because it's rare. And well, you could, but then it can also hit the sin area of fair. Now, when they have the other way around and you don't, are you going to pay back or are you going to have a whinge? And a lot of these people would rather whinge. Right? Yes. Right? That's their sin. Right? And so I believe it's like the church is burning now. It could be happening because of our own sins. There's plenty of things why they can happen. But we can use things to help us if it's not a sin. And it's still truth. So I talk about right now, and you hear religions talk about this all the time, when bad things happen, they say it's the end of days. Isn't that right, Emma? Something like that, right? And so I'm talking about it. I've released a story. I'm talking about Jesus and God. Jesus is God's son. I literally want to look up to them like people look up to people and go, I want to be like that prime minister or whatever, right? I'm going, look, I'm going to check it out. I want to see what it feels like being like it as well. You know how we do that? We try it out, see if it is us. And that's what I did. And I believe if a certain area was true of what intelligence and they played along together, it would be a good area. But if you don't have the intelligence and you mostly got kids that carry on, you go get a job and they ask you to do it most of the time, then you're not going to get the job done. Right? And so when it comes to these main priorities, they need to show that they can grow. Right? And then if things happen, like nature problems, like nature does today, and nature does upgrade occasionally, it shouldn't happen very often when you get it right. But if you haven't got it right, you'll find that you'll be losing homes within your collective a constant as you haven't changed something. Wouldn't that be right, Emma? Yeah. And guess what we're seeing? Same old storms, and then the same old ask for daddy to fix everything? Can we have donations and insurance? And even insurance are even saying, shit, we're getting sick of the weather's picking up now and this system's not working. That's what the insurance is saying, right? And they're going bust because it doesn't. Because they're not even building the next time, as countries are trying to talk now, but it could be a script as they talk about great things and then go away to get an outcome. It means elected, things like that. That's a constant. If you get tricked, it's bad enough that the tricker is in his higher sin than you, but you're also in a sin if you keep getting tricked, definitely if you know it. So if you know something and you let it go, you're as bad as the sinner. Not as bad, but you might as well be it. You're a coward of that sinner. It's just doing it. You let it go. It's just as bad. Wouldn't you say that if someone was going around killing, or someone in your government, or your whole half your people are, but then your government goes, yeah, that's okay. It's all right. It's not me. We'll just punish them, but we'll allow it. Actually, countries do that kind of thing. That's a sin. So first you get all these basics, and then if you want bonus points, and now I'm going to talk about bonus, which I've talked about in a different way when it comes if you want to connect with the earth, and the earth connects to God. And the earth is a living, breathing thing, just like all sorts of ornaments, like a tree. Right? It has a system, and if the system doesn't function a certain way, it dies too, like a cold, dead planet, like Mars. Right? So everything is a system, and we're like viruses work on us, and we can be good or bad. At the moment, we're one of the baddest viruses this planet has got. Isn't that sad? And isn't that true, Emma? We're the only creature that does so much damage to this beautiful world, as we try to make our beauty in our image, as we're children. See, you can be a child of God, but without the education of God, are you God? Emma? No, you wouldn't be, would you? So, right? It's like all humans right now. Humans can be great, but not every human is, because they haven't had the same education or life as the one that is great. Right? Sometimes they've gone through hell. Sometimes you don't need to go through hell to learn something. It's all about knowing that the education is true and the knowledge is true, and you know it. And some people need to go through it to get that confirmation, but you don't need to. You'll find that out when old people give you advice. There's some things you'll take and some things you'll go through, because you'll learn that experience. The more you can convince others that they don't need to go through it, and show them the truth, which is what I try to speak to Emma about, certain spiritual things. But if they don't see long enough, they will never know the truth, or they deny. And so when you go to bully others, say, what's the government doing right now in their sin? If they were so-called Christian, if you knew they were, with the Bibles, the words of righteousness. Right? And we know they're not. I know they're not, and I can debate them that they're not, from the actions they do. And if you got one that's the leader, apparently, like Albo can't do everything by himself. So if Albo was actually, that's Australian rules, because you people have allowed that and don't allow leaders to change things for you people, because they can say something and it's up to you people to really drill the other people who work for the leader and make them feel bad, to make them agree with the leader. But you don't. And so they argue in the Parliament House as the people are arguing over here, but are not really making sure that they get sacked and it happens for the people. The quicker you do that, the quicker you'll get that better outcome of what you need to go. All these people need to be similar with the main priorities, main rules, right? Like a constitution. If they don't have that, then, and they've got their own little constitutions, their own religions, and they're not mixing, you're going to get round. You're going to live in your sin, not connecting. God wants you to connect. Love is connect, isn't it, Emma? God is love. That's that outcome. We don't have God because we haven't hit that education. We have governments that believe, I want to help you, so I'm going to up this price, even though some people may never stop, may never have to stop. They already be trapped because of the government itself. So the government goes, first cigarette's great, let's make money. Then all of a sudden they go, no, they're not great. We'll advertise for a little while. Then they're not great, but other people will still smoke. Other people become, and we'll give you a free will. They went to free will kind of thing. And then they went, we can't go to free will because people are getting sick and they're not educated enough to stop themselves. Because that's what you need to do. You don't force them to stop, as the Bible teaches. You educate them the right way to want to stop. So if someone's slow and they've got a job, and they're about to get sacked, and someone else who's not slow and not on that drug and they're slow because they're on a drug, well, and they're about to lose a job, well, they're in their own sin. They're sinning themselves. You don't need to sin them. And they'll lose the job, wouldn't they, Emma?
Yeah.
Right? You see? And that's how God gets them. And if they hurt themselves, they'll die young. That's their sin. As long as they're not hurting others, God will go, there you go, I'll talk to you later about it. Right? And you can go back or whatever. Right? But that's their sin. They need to get out of it themselves. All you can do is educate them. They don't. That's free will. You can educate someone about a cliff, right? And if people start falling off cliffs, what would you do, government, to stop that? So there's one sector that you're trying to fix. People who just keep walking off cliffs, and you've got to tell them, look, walking off cliffs is not funny anymore. You used to live, it's a bit higher now. We know this. Stop doing it. It's not holy. If you live, you're holy, right? These things have happened, right? How would you stop it? You educate them, right? By showing people not walking off a cliff gets a better life than the ones that are walking off the cliff, hey, Emma? Shit, simple as that. No sin, but a sinner who likes to control and dominate will go, I'll do this, because a sinner also likes a benefit. And so the government upping the cost is also helping them, and they will believe, a sinner thinks like this too, is that I'll attack you and you deserve it, and then I can use your money to fix my other sins that my previous sinners did. That's how they put it in. They're like, oh, it helps us pay our debts, and it will try to teach them. No, all you're doing is actually, now we've got high inflation, broke people. Does that work out in the end when that all becomes the same? No, it doesn't. Because you've been as bad as them, if not worse, because you're tapping into their life. I remember having arguments with my siblings and friends about their relationship, and you think you know someone, you might even see them a couple of hours a day, even at work. But you don't know them 24/7, you don't know what they do later on. In those little times when people are alone, they're different, they might be the lovingest person and all that kind of stuff. But people like to get involved and say that they believe that you should leave them and have opinions like that when they typically don't. It's up to people to lead people themselves. It's another sin within themselves. If they're getting hurt because someone's bashing them and they're scared, well, God says grow some fucking balls. Isn't that right, Emma? That's what that test is. It's up to you to lead. You know the person, you know if it's true or what's going on, and you make a decision. You don't put it on to others. Right? I even sell that to other people now. I go, well, you can hang around, but if you say this and this and that, you got a high probability I'll punch you in the fucking head. And then they accidentally say it, and I'll punch them in the head, and they go, why'd you do that? Oh, you're an arsehole. But who's the arsehole when I said if you do it, you'll get it? It'd be that person, wouldn't it, Emma? You did say it. They hanged around, and if they don't want that now, they can leave. I say that to people. If you don't want something, then leave that. That's what connection is. Right? Parents go hang out with parents more likely than the kid, because it just doesn't work. It's like, I'm doing this for you, being downgrading so you can feel good, but after a while I've got to go have my own time because it really isn't me. Otherwise I might as well be the kid again. Right? These people, see, I can easily fix areas because I have these priorities. You got to get your priorities straight. These first work out these and know that you can do it. Definitely if you get help. Government gets all this help and they still, which is even another bigger sin, they turn that sin bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger because they know and they're getting help. And they're still doing it. That means that they turn that sin into 100 points on their chart now instead of 10. You get it? I don't know if you're getting this point factor, which is why I want to make a book later on to help people actually see where it all adds up and how much of a sinner are you. Because there's no book out there showing us what is really wrong when the law says it's right. But doesn't mean the law says it's right. There's lots of countries with laws and we're all debating about how they're not right. Isn't that right, Emma? So the laws does not mean they're right. What is right is what really works and what is true and what we know what feels true. And every time someone spoils someone with love, it feels good, doesn't it, Emma? So love works, but when you get punched in the head, sometimes you learn, but then sometimes you think you learn, you're just making mistakes and you just don't want the punch anymore. I'll get there. But yet you still have to get the punch. You know what I mean? But anyway, I'm going to leave it there. So it comes to priorities and sins. I don't like hearing people going on and want to help when they haven't got sort of this problem out here. Right? Don't like people passing buck. Passing buck is a sin. Right? With your sector, a sin. Have a good one.